So I was making cookies for my coworkers, and I noticed that one of my coworkers in particular loves bourbon. In fact, he likes bourbon, all kinds of different types of bourbon, and I thought, what would be good? Can we work in bourbon into a cookie? And after a little bit of searching on the internet, turns out you can, and a lot of people do. So I thought, what better way than to try a little bourbon in a cookie, and what better way than to mix it in with some pecans and some chocolate chunks. So with this recipe, we're gonna go through all of the things you got here. We have 2.5 cups of, wait, is that 2.5, 2.25? All right, let's go through the ingredients. I'll get it all correct. I'll show it to you. Okay, for this recipe, you're gonna need 2.25 cups of all-purpose flour. We got a teaspoon of baking soda. We have a half a teaspoon of salt. We have 1 cup, 2 sticks of unsalted butter, melted and cooled. And it's getting to that state where we're ready to get it rolling here. 1 cup of packed brown sugar, and then a half cup of granulated sugar. We want 2 large eggs, and then we're gonna throw in 3 tablespoons of bourbon. We're gonna put in 2 tablespoons of vanilla extract. Then we're gonna do 1.5 cups of chopped pecans, and then 1.5 cups of dark chocolate chunks, which I ran out of the chunks, so I added a couple of dark chocolate morsels. And then, of course, if you need for the end topping, we're gonna put a little sea salt on there. So let's jump into it and get these mixed up. So, let's get to it. I mean, looking pretty smooth. What do you think? There's the pulse. That's kind of cool. All right. Then we're going to add in the eggs. Bloop, bloop. And I want to show so 3 tablespoons. Oh gosh, why is that dirty? Probably because I had a flour or something on it. Go. Okay. I mean, there's more than one way to. This is kind of therapeutic. Uh-oh, I got a hole. No, not a hole. All right. All right, they're chopped. I'm just going to add these to the chips because I can smell the bourbon coming off of this. This is nuts. Wow, so strong. All right. Welcome, welcome. We're making bourbon pecan chocolate chunk cookies. All right. Dark chocolate pecan cookies, and finishing touch, gotta add a little sea salt to them. Okay. Just a pinch of sea salt on the top. Probably should have done that when they came out right away. All right, we're ready for the reveal. I'm gonna break into this one. Okay, so it did kind of cook sitting on the pan a little bit. That was really good. All right, so there it is. There it is. There's the kind of inside. You got the pecan on there, and it's my first time trying it. It did not cool. It did not. This batter did not sit in the fridge for an hour, so we'll see. Okay. I think you'll get more, there'll be more of a bourbon flavor when it sits. Because this is like, this batter is marinating in that bourbon right now, in a way. That's pretty good though. The sea salt is really a nice touch at the top for the dark chocolate. So I want to do a recipe where it's just a dark chocolate cookie with dark chocolate sea salt. But the bourbon, yeah, definitely needs to sit in the, it needs to marinate for that hour at least to get a little bit more of that flavor. And I even added a little more bourbon than I was called for in the recipe. But oh, the dark chocolate, I mean, it's not a bad cookie. I think it's just a little early on the execution of cooking them right away. So that's the thing, you know, if you're impatient and you're gonna make a cookie right away and you're not gonna let it sit, you're not gonna get as much flavor. This is one of those cookies that force you to be patient and reward you later, like the Fireball cookies. So when I did the Fireball cookies, those sat overnight and it was amazing. So yeah, this is the dark chocolate sea salt pecan bourbon cookie. And yeah, I think there's a couple of, and this is my first time doing this, so a couple of like tips would be maybe like when I put them on the plate, take some of those like halved pecans and stick them on the top so that there's that like that picture of the pecan there, and then the pecan will actually roast when it bakes. There was an option to potentially roast the pecans before you throw them into the batter. So there's a couple of different ways you could go with this, and yeah, I don't know, I'm kind of digging it though. Okay. I was nibbling with the smaller bites, but a fuller bite. You might actually have to make like a, these could go well as like a bigger cookie. But, I don't know. It's my first time making them, so the first recipe usually out the gate sometimes is not always the best. Sometimes you need to have like a little